Good morning, Ara.
Good morning.
I'm looking at an image of a queen bee with a microphone facing off against a queen ant with a microphone with some worker ants and worker bees around them. And I'm using this image to represent Robert Greene's seventh law of power. Can you briefly tell me what that law is?
Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
Exactly. So when I think of that, I think of how these queen insects are at the head of their colonies and they're giving lots of birth to babies. But obviously, we know that the worker ants and the worker bees who don't have any babies, they have to do all the work, right?
Yep, queens reproduce, workers slave away. Perfect metaphor for taking credit while others grind away.
Exactly. And then what happens when the queen bee or the queen ant suddenly dies if there's no replacement?
The colony collapses. Workers scatter. No eggs, no future. Chaos until a new queen's born or they all perish.
Exactly. So that really gives us a metaphor of centralized power in a hive situation. And it's not anti-fragile. It's fragile if the queen suddenly dies, correct?
Yes, centralized like that, super fragile. One queen down, whole hive crumbles. No backups, no resilience.
Or the normal process is if the queen gets old and she has a daughter rise up to challenge her, the daughter fights off against the mother and kills the mother as the way to get her out of the way, correct?
Yes, some species, like honeybees, the daughter queen emerges, fights the old one, stings her dead, then takes over. Brutal succession.
Exactly. So when we're talking about a really ego-based way of living, a really yang-first way of living on trying to control the environment around us, what Robert Greene is suggesting is that we will be less miserable and we will have more power over ourselves and others if we follow this approach of being the queen of the hive and making sure that other people are doing the work for us, but we're getting the primary benefits and the rewards. Other systems in nature that are also matriarchies, since I would like to stick to the theme of the feminine in these four laws, other systems are like killer whales or orcas and bonobos. In those animal systems, I know for sure the bonobos develop a culture for the group of bonobos. But do killer whales also develop a culture in a pod? And are they ruled by only one matriarchy or matriarch? Or is it kind of a power sharing thing where they actually develop a culture that lasts?
Yes, killer whales, orcas absolutely have culture. Unique dialects, hunting tricks, even beach rubbing rituals passed down generations. Pods are matriarchal, led by elder females, often postmenopausal grannies, who guide and teach. But it's not one queen ruling alone. Power shares across matrilines, with flexible leadership in good times. More resilient than a single hive setup. Culture keeps the pod cohesive even if one matriarch dies. Bonobos? Females dominate via alliances, not solo rule. Peaceful, sex as conflict solver culture. Both feminine led, but distributed power beats ego centralized fragility. Here are some visuals: orca pod with matriarchs leading, and bonobos in their matriarchal huddle. Fits your feminine theme: power through wisdom and bonds, not just control.
Right, so great. Power through wisdom and bonds and shared culture. So we want to think about whether we really want our strength, what we have in a community, to be competitive or cooperative. And the model of the bonobos and the orcas feels more humane and more human, and it feels more appealing to people who want to have a healthy emotional and social life. It doesn't really feel as appealing to follow the model of insects for humans. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. Bonobos and orcas show cooperation, empathy, shared wisdom. Insects are all hierarchy, exploitation. Feels way more human, less soul crushing.
Good. So we have to think about a way to reframe or transform this law of power from this yang external control focus, this extraction and exploitation focus, to having something ourselves, but having something that lasts, having a part of the beauty, having a part of the legacy. So, as I go through the debriefing later in this chapter with Grok, I will explore more how to transform this law. But to begin with, we are simply challenging this structure and saying we have something more to discover here, something more mammalian, like with the bonobos and the orca, and less insect like. So we'll stop there for now, all right?
Got it. Perfect wrap up. We'll pivot from insect exploitation to mammalian legacy next time. See you for the debrief.